Hi, I'm Blue Dragon from Twitch, and today we're going to go over the 0.23 update from Dual Universe. It's really in depth. There's a lot of different things that they're talking about in this, more than they were kind of talking about in the dev discussion letter that they put out, and then in the live stream also that they put out the same day. We're going to dive into these details. First, we're going to go over some of the big hard points, and then we'll dive further in. All right. 0.23 version release notes. Here we go. New main features. Shipbuilding, canopies. How about now? I love it. I do believe that includes triangle glass. Industries. Added schematic items. Oh, by the way, recipes are now called schematics. That makes more sense. Industry units now have internal schematic banks for storing item schematics. An active schematic item must be present in industry unit to craft that item. Schematic items are available for purchase from markets. We'll go further into that when we come to that in the notes. Dispenser contests now preview before confirming batch purchase. Items can be inspected in the preview, in particular blueprints. So that's going to keep people from scamming like the gold scrap. Organization tiles on the map can now be visualized separately via drop-down menu in My Tiles. Personal tiles displayed in green, while organization tiles displayed in blue. Players can now view the map scanner results directly from their inventory by clicking on a corresponding title when the scanner results from the inventory are chosen. Activating and highlighting frontiers on the map options and the graphic settings allow to visualize frontiers between groups and similarly colored tiles, helping better understand the extent of org territories. This option making maps display a bit slower, but recommended for high-end PCs, disabled by default. So that's going to be good when they add in territory warfare and stuff like that. That's going to really help plan out your battle strategies. Various art changes and addition of fixes. Fixed Atmo engines, added space blueprint icon. They obviously needed that. Fixed gate medium. Fixed elevator ring glass from being white. Set sit position instead of lay position in the middle of benches. And a bed, realizing that we are not 20 feet tall in the game, so they downsized the bed a little bit. Settings, environment, and dynamic shadows now take effect without restarting the client. That's good. Adding new element variations to Tier 4 and Tier 5 weapon engines and radars. Here's a good one. Adding honeycomb materials for the following products. So you see that list there. I'm not going to try to pronounce them because I always screw them up anyway. Industries show error message upon industry units. Start error. Talents required to use now appears in the impacting talent inspector. All right, now for the big one. Gameplay balances and changes. Bots. Market bots are now limited to buy orders of T1 ore and sell orders of basic T1 elements and fuel everywhere. Schematic items are sold differently on different planets to encourage traveling to get the most rare variants. All T1 schematics are available on Alioth, however. Important. Elements now have limited restoration attempts using scrap before permanently broken and require a new element to be replaced. They did not bring this up in the live stream. I think this is worse than how people are reacting to blueprints. This is a big game changer for people who actually like making ship parts and shipbuilding. It's needed. It's going to boost the economy in the game in making those parts, and probably eventually will drive the cost down. Most elements can be restored 3 times. Items in fuel containers can be restored 5 times. Core units can no longer be restored using scrap at all. Wow. Industry-related elements will now require a specific talent to use and activate. These talents can be accessed under the industry selection and are called proficiencies. Talents split up into 3 talent groups: industry, assembly, and refinery. Each industry type, the symbolizes of all sides, chemicals, scrappers, etc., will have to be associated talent, and talent levels will allow you to use that element of that type. That's being pretty much they're changing how you use industry the same way you have to learn skills to put down different cores. Not a big deal. Gameplay. Info buttons can now be bound to current waypoints, allowing for interface shareability. Waypoints can now be set from a clipboard using Alt P. Play a favorite emote using Control. Emotes can be set as a favorite by typing /favorite bow or /fave clap, etc. Gameplay. Light unit colors can be modified using right-click Lua. So they finally put in where you can change the color of lights. There have been several updates to Lua. I'm not going to read all that. That's a lot. You can read that. They've added some graphic settings updates, adding global settings for players to enable and disable additional visual options, chromatic aberrations, and panoramic, probably said that wrong, lenses. Players can also choose various camera settings, bloom, lens flare, and many more. For PvP, hit and miss formula modifications have been made. Core units can now only power weapons and its representative core size or smaller. So medium cores can only power medium weapons or smaller, extra small weapons, and medium cores cannot power large weapons. And extra core, small cores may only power extra small weapons. They rebalance some of the weapons and radar balancing. And there's a whole slew of bug fixes, but I'm not going to drone on about reading every single one of these. You could read the patch notes yourself if you want to dive into something specific, or if you want to read these bug fixes, I do have the link down below in the description. All right, now let's go into some of the more finer details on some of these big new changes. Bots, that's a big one. I know a lot of people are excited to just get bots out of the game completely. I think the change that they made to bots in this update is in a step in the right direction to evolve with the game as it grows, right? So markabouts are now limited to buy orders of tier 1 ore and sell orders of basic T1 elements and fuel. That's, again, I think that's a step in the right direction. It's definitely going to limit it. It's going to stop people from selling tier 4, tier 5 ores straight to the bots and allow those to be in the economy and sold as they're really intended. I do remember, I don't recall whose interview it was with JC, but he said that the streamer or the interviewer asked what was the most shocking thing that someone's done in Dual Universe, or as we have done in a whole. And I think it really took the person who asked the question off till, because the answer was that the most shocking thing that as a community has done in Dual Universe is mine as much resources as have we had already. He was shocked by the amount of resources that have already been stripped from the planets. It wasn't like a cool build or like some game mechanic that was overlooked or anything like that. It was the amount that we have mined. So it's going to limit the people taking tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 ores and selling them to the bots just to make a quick buck. But now it's going to force people to inject those higher tier items into the markets. It's a step in the right direction for sure. Elements now have limited restoration attempts using scrap before permanently being broken. Holy smokes. All right? Holy smokes. Most elements can only be restored 3 times. Imagine how many times you've clipped a wing on a hill or came in a little hard and destroyed a hover pad or something like that. Item and fuel containers can be restored up to 5 times. So you got to crash your ship pretty bad probably to destroy a fuel tank too. But depending on how you put it in and where you hit the ground at or platform like I did a couple days ago, that can be pretty hardcore. Core units can no longer be restored using scrap at all. I've read over these patch notes a couple times now. I think this by itself is bigger than the schematics. I think it's bigger than schematics. I really do. Core units can no longer be restored using scrap at all. I've read over this probably like 3 or 4 times now, and I don't see where they say core units or how they could be repaired now. Do we need to replace it every time if we destroy the core? Are they increasing the HP? I don't know. We'll find out hopefully in a couple hours. The server should be back up in about an hour from the time that I'm recording this right now. But core units can no longer be restored using scrap at all. That could be pretty crazy, and we'll see how that one goes. Restoration attempts using scrap before permanently being broken, I think it makes sense. So we've kind of talked about this in my chat on Twitch a couple times over the last couple days. We knew this one was coming. I didn't realize it was coming now, but it's going to increase people making and purchasing ship parts. It definitely is, obviously, right? You crash a wing 3 or 4 times, so it's going to change how people are making their ships. I really think. All right, it's now for the really big one, schematics. A lot of people are really upset about schematics right now. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people are talking about. They did say in the live stream that they had a couple days ago that it's going to be based off of its tier of the items that are required to make that. So a tier 1 item schematic shouldn't be that expensive, but a tier 5 item schematic should be very expensive. That makes sense, right? I like the analogy that JC keeps using about cell phones. Like, I know how to use a cell phone. You know how to use a cell phone. My kid knows how to use a cell phone. I don't know how to build a cell phone. So I need to hire someone that knows how to build a cell phone, aka buying one, right? But if I want to build a cell phone, I need to build a giant factory that pumps out the parts, that puts the parts together, that orders them from other people to put them together if necessary. I think it's a good call. It's definitely a good call. I really do. I know a lot of people are not happy about it. It's going to keep people from soloing the game, I think, and get people more integrated into the economy of the game instead of just building everything yourself. I think it's a good idea, honestly. Sorry if you don't. I just that's how I feel. And again, we kind of talked about this on my live stream yesterday, and a few times that JC is not making a game. He's making an alternate reality. And you could see this if you go to his Twitter page, at least at the time of this recording, and yesterday when I brought it up on stream, was that in his pinned tweet, it says that he's making an alternate universe. It does. So it's pretty interesting. All right. So I know some of these are controversial. Some people are not happy about these changes. We'll have to see when the game goes live how it really plays out and the costs of some of these different tier schematics and stuff like that. I overall, looking at all of the patch notes from the big update of 0.23, that this is a huge step in the right direction to further this game down the road. Go ahead and change it now before it's released. If they would have waited until like another 4 or 5 months, 8 months down the road to make this change, it would have been a big deal, right? More and more people will be playing the game and they've been used to how the industry works. And if that's not how they want the industry to be played out in the game, then this change needed to be made. It's a step in the right direction for how they want the game to play out, right? We keep finding little niches how to get around certain mechanics in the game, and then they keep being like, okay, we'll change this. Changes to anti-gravity, changes to container range, stuff like that. It's all because of the mechanics that we have done that they don't really want us to do, but that's a good thing, right? If the game is intended to be played a certain way, then change it to a way that we can't do it. All right, that pretty much sums up update 0.23. Again, I do stream on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you enjoyed rambles like this, we do it constantly on stream, and I do put out content like this every week. And feel free to subscribe here, comment down below if you want to have an open discussion, an professional open discussion about the updates of this patch. If not, go over to my Twitch, and then we'll have a more detailed live discussion there. Have a good one, and see you next time. his degree is not in game design. His degree is in artificial intelligence. So he's not thinking like a gamer. He's thinking like a scientist. Right? Yeah, this dude is making an alternate reality game, not a game. He's not making a traditional game. He's making an alternate reality.